It was midnight. Some of my friends had come to see me a few hours earlier because I was alone in the house and I got drunk somehow. Having stayed up all night drinking, finally sleepy, retired to my bed to sleep. I was alone except for Max. Max, my dog. He usually slept quite comfortably at night, but that night was different. It took a few seconds to orient myself when I opened my eyes as my vision was still hazy, and the remnants of the alcohol still spun my head. Lying comfortably in bed, I noticed something in the darkness of the room. There was movement at first. I had to focus with my eyes because everything appeared blurry and out of focus. But by the time I comprehended what was going on, I saw Max standing in the corner of the room, staring at me intently. My dog, who never made a peep throughout the night, was acting different as he slowly started to approach me. I tried to get up, but my body was moving slower than usual due to the drunkenness still caught in my system. Max kept his stare on me, not breaking the gaze. An unease came upon my chest. In that moment, I knew something was wrong. Max had something in his eyes, but I couldn't make out what it was. His eyes were on me as if he wanted to say something. Maybe I shouldn't have given it too much thought, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Max, usually quiet and in control, now gave me his full attention. As he approached, I could feel his breath on my skin, and his eyes hardened as if he was trying to tell me something. His behavior was not normal, and I was filled with a deep sense of depression. I'm not sure what's going on, but I know something very special is happening tonight. My dog gently pressed his nose to my shoulder and patted me gently. All his actions began to feel even more strange. The relief I felt grew stronger with each passing moment, but there was something else. Sometimes the bond between us was stronger than usual. It was so amazing that I didn't even want to question if everything was normal. Was Max approaching me this way and trying to get my attention? Or was something else going on? Looking around, my eyes widened again. I was so drunk it was all like a dream. But Max being there told me something. There was a sense of danger, a sense that something was wrong. I thought to myself for a moment, it was just yesterday, only yesterday. But there is still a deep feeling within me. I knew something was missing. There was meaning in Max's eyes. Something's trying to tell me something, but what is it? A feeling of discomfort was growing within me. At first, I didn't even know how long Max had been staring at me. My mind was a mess, but somehow I had to focus on it. What should I do when I'm around him? In his eyes, he seemed to make a conscious effort to communicate with me. At that moment, I realized that something was wrong, but I still need to understand what it is. That night, I realized that things had changed. It will be even more strange than this. I never understood what Max was trying to say, but something is definitely different. Tonight was too special and too strange to be normal. Max's eyes looked at me, looking at my every move. The instincts deep within me became more and more clear. That he was trying to say something. At that moment, a feeling of discomfort rose from the depths of my confused mind, and mixed with the alcohol that remained, the uneasiness within me grew stronger. I knew something wasn't right, but I feel like I can't fix it. My dog never once looked away from my unsteady gaze. As he approached, it looked like he wanted to say something, but I don't understand. He was watching me. Follow his steady but penetrating gaze with every single step. The strange feeling that I was beginning to experience couldn't be fought anymore. It really felt like the innermost things I was trying to scour meant no harm against the status quo and whatever conflict is raging inside me. But something definitely felt different. The more Max advanced closer to me, the closer I followed him with my eyes. Just a few steps separated us from being so very close. And as he brought his nose even closer to my face, there was a strange discomfort in this close distance. Max's nose was almost touching my face. Why was he so careful? Why did he have to act like that? It felt like he had something to say, but I never understood it. My mind was entangled in many complicated thoughts. Somewhere between drunkenness and comfort, everything was starting to feel strange to me. Slowly but sharply for a moment, I thought he was about to whisper something to me. I found him unintentionally locked in my endow. His gaze was so intense that I swung between fear and curiosity. Max tilted his head and withdrew, That movement made me realize that something else was even stranger. Well, from then on I started to feel more weird. Those eyes, those looks, those strange actions, was there a meaning to them? Or was it merely my alcohol ate in mine, making everything appear more important? I did not know what Max had in his mind right then, yet something felt uneasy inside me. I needed to see what was going up. I zipped after Max, and in that moment, there was a sudden silence, echoing in the other rooms of the house. I pressed my forehead against the chilled glass of the window. It seemed to clarify my mind. Max moved from the lounge toward another room. I was quick behind him. That felt like an instinct I couldn't resist. As I continued to follow Max, I was determined to know what was going on. He knew what was up, I could tell. Was it anything possible for a dog to know? Or was it that just being uneasy was what made me think this way? A few seconds later, Max entered the bedroom. I rushed in behind him and checked the room, finding everything in order, but Max standing there frozen filled my discomfort to the brim. I walked over slowly again and concentrated on his eyes. It felt like I had uncovered the great meaning hidden behind those eyes. A voice rising from deep down told me that those eyes were saying something only I could understand still. Max's gaze was full of doubts. At that moment, a wide chasm opened inside me. I had to push on and see what was going on. The stillness in the room only made my nerves worse. I felt chills crawling up my spine. With every tear I took, I was knit together in confusion. I had to know why Max was acting in this way. What was he telling me with his eyes? But how would a dog relate something so immense? My mind has many questions. Why is he trying to get so close? I'm telling myself what's happening. Why is tonight different? And Max's eyes seemed to have something to convey. But comprehension of this was extremely difficult. Every glance, every move, appeared to lead towards something far larger and greater, and then without warning, my body starts feeling a wave of restlessness. Why is he so sensitive? Why does his gaze lean toward me? As if his eyes were trying to tell me something. My drunkenness still lingers, and alcohol haze befogs my mind. But the serious expression in Max's eyes stands so crystal clear before my eyes. His eyes almost whispered something to me. There's not just fear or reactivity in those looks. Rather, there is something more. Something is being told to me, but what these strange behaviors unnerve me. And the unease inside me grows bigger with each passing moment. I tried to decipher the message Max is trying to convey every moment, but I still cannot figure it out. Max seems almost like a guide to show me the way, a sign of something. But I don't know what turn the path has taken. An intent expression in his eyes seems to converse something with me. It feels like every motion he makes speaks a language. Every look becomes a clue. Everything is getting out of hand tonight. Every gesture of Max, every gaze of his seems a puzzle that should be solved. And I badly need the solution. It is as if there were a sign in his eyes, a path that he is showing me. A great sensation surges inside me. I need to follow him, but what am I supposed to follow? Where am I supposed to go? These questions haunt my mind like ghosts. Max tries to tell me something is different, but as I begin to see it differently, a fear also begins to take over. Everything has a deeper meaning tonight, and I'm doing my best to let it go. The expression in Max's eyes is so powerful that I can't put it into words. I think everything is much bigger and more complex. Max seems to be here to show something. That night I just feel it in my eyes. His every look is an internal warning, telling me something is up. I still can't figure it out, but this unease just grows. There's something in his eyes. Max shows me the way, but which way should I go? What steps should I take? These are questions that touch my heart. Max has always been a quiet, happy dog, but tonight something feels different. He is giving me a message, guiding me in a way. Those eyes that look tell me something. It seems impossible to convey such a deep understanding through the dog's eyes at first, but I feel Max's gaze guiding me. His every movement seems to be a signal for me to take the next step. The melees and Max has been transmitted to me. That night I felt like everything made sense, but it was getting harder and harder to let go of that sense. With each passing minute tonight, I feel like I just have to look Max in the eye and solve this mystery. As I try to decipher the mysteries hidden in those visions, my curiosity and anxiety continue to grow. As I continue to follow the signals Max offers, I do my best to understand what made this night so different, and perhaps, when the privacy curtain was lifted a little more, everything will fall into place, and I will fully understand the message Max is trying to convey to me. But now I have to live in the moment, because Max's eyes showed me the way forward. When the night passes, I began to feel more deeply that there was something behind Max's approach to me. His eyes shone with a depth and significance that I had never seen before. That gleam made me feel invisible like yesterday. In that moment, it felt like Max wanted to express something, but couldn't express it in words. Every movement the eyes make feels like a kind of signal, a kind of direction. There's definitely a message behind it. But what is it suddenly? I had an idea. Maybe Max is trying to tell me something. Maybe he's taking me somewhere. But the thought was quickly dispelled by wine and my confusion still. There was a feeling that Max's movements were not just ordinary dog behavior, but it is a symptom of something much bigger. I feel like tonight everything is different. Max walked around the room, was quiet for a while. Every action was extremely deliberate. He took a step, then backed up and came back to me. It's like he stares at me all the time and shadows every move I make. It is not merely a careful glance. It develops into a complete, sort of mutual understanding. At that time, there's a clear fog forming up for me at such times. Max wants to tell me something, but I still have no idea what it is. There are hidden elements in every glance. That strange gleam carries a message in his eyes. His previously focused, laser-like eyes were never so tightly focused. Not fear, but searching for meaning. I still have my share of the fear inside me, but I have a bit of trust too. Max helps me find the way, like a light for me. But I still don't know what it is I am chasing, what I'm trying to understand. Some animals sometimes feel much more than humans. Perhaps tonight Max just wants to show me something. Hours pass and strange behavior becomes more pronounced every minute he approaches me. Then it's as if for a brief moment, he realizes something. He slowly tilts his head and deepens his stare. At that moment within me a flame ignites. It is as though what Max is showing me is an internal warning. I can't get my thoughts to slow down with my growing questions. What does he want? Where is this leading? What is different tonight? Max's gaze never moves from me. This time wisdom, not fear, is in his gaze. What I see in his eyes is something uneased, that something is not being solved. Something has to be revealed, which I haven't seen before. It feels as though Max, far from being just another dog, is more like a teacher and instructor, a guide with the night passing. The troubled air around me has continued to intensify. Each move, each step by Max makes me even more so. Soon enough, Max settles into the corner and goes still, while keeping his eyes trained on me. Once he was just a companion. Now he combined wise counsel with a sense of spiritual closeness. I never thought a dog could have such a profundity of meaning, but I can now see that Max was showing me the way. With that stare for a brief second, something stirred secretly inside me. Max's eyes were like a key, like a code to be cracked. With the passage of time, the tumbling mists inside me begin to lift. Max offers me not only fear or anxiety, but also a sense of calm, that of guidance. Each of his movements takes me a step closer to him. In that moment, Max certainly had his reason to show me something, but it will take time before I can even scratch the depth of meaning. Max's eyes held that deep gaze till the end of the night. I felt he was trying to convey something, but I couldn't make sense of it then. As I reminisce about that night, I wonder whether I'll fathom the real reasons he gravitated toward me so closely, why those eyes were full of such meaning. Perhaps one day, Max's lock code imparted to me that night will unfold some clarity, and when that time comes, when I truly understand the message Max imparted, I'll know more precisely why everything did occur the way it did. Morning dawns, yet though the night has passed, I find my mind is still dealing with Max's reaction. It brings some solace to recall that very moment. It all started that night, will always be that memory, wherein Max made it clear to me of something I did not know, yet somehow knew in the depth of my soul. That night all was brought into light, and I could start to understand why Max was so keenly by my side and what he made me feel in the expression in his eyes. It seemed to be something important, and he wanted to tell me behind all that weird behavior. There was a message, and I tried to make it out. Everything Max did seemed to indicate that something far greater and much more important was going on. I was doing everything in my power to uncover the secret behind this strange event. Max's eyes seemed to be showing me a path, urging me to follow his unusual actions. Pulled me into a whirlwind of curiosity and anxiety. The expression in his eyes told of something much greater, something he was trying to convey. That night everything got even more complicated and incomprehensible. Everything Max did showed he was doing something big and meaningful. I'll try my best to unveil the mystery behind this phenomenon. Max's eyes seemed to be pointing at me, and I felt compelled to follow. His strange behavior aroused great interest and anxiety in me. The look in his eyes made it clear that something very important was going on, something he was trying to convey. Everything became harder and harder to understand. That night, Max's every movement indicated that something bigger and more important was at play. I was doing my best to uncover the mystery behind this phenomenon. Max's eyes seemed to be pointing in my direction, and I feel compelled to follow. His unusual demeanor pulled me into a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety. His expression indicated that something very important was going on, something he was trying to communicate. Everything became harder and harder to understand. That night, every power Max did meant something bigger and more important. I was doing my best to solve the puzzle behind this phenomenon. Max's eyes seemed to be pointing in my direction, urging me to follow. His strange behavior filled me with deep joy and anxiety. The expression in his eyes made it clear that something important had happened, which is what he was trying to convey. Everything became more complicated and unclear. That night, every move Max made seemed to signal something bigger and more important that was unfolding around me. I was doing everything I could to uncover the mystery behind this strange phenomenon, but the answers seemed just out of reach. Max's eyes seemed to guide me, compelling me to follow him, as if he was leading me towards something I was meant to understand. In the morning, even though I tried to forget the intensity of the night, Max's behavior stayed with me, lingering in my mind like a persistent puzzle. Remembering the moment when it all started gave me a small sense of comfort, like a thread of understanding through the chaos that night. Max had shown me something I hadn't intended to understand, yet deep down I knew it was important. As the night unfolded, everything was gradually revealed. I began to comprehend why Max had been so determinedly by my side, why his presence was so powerful and profound. The expression in his eyes indicated something incredibly important, a silent communication that transcended words. He wasn't just a pet, he was trying to convey a message. A message hidden within his strange behavior. There was something bigger and more meaningful behind it all, a purpose, a grand plan. Every movement Max made seemed to point toward a larger truth, a truth that I was on the brink of understanding, yet couldn't fully grasp. It was as though his eyes had become my guides, showing me a path I was meant to follow. His gaze wasn't just a look, it was a compass, a silent invitation to move forward. The unease and curiosity I felt were intertwined, as though each passing moment was a step closer to an answer, but one that remained elusive. And without warning, it was all over. Max's antics, his behavior, had swept me into a whirlwind of confusion and uncertainty, but when I looked back, I realized there had been a reason behind everything. Max wasn't just a dog, he had been an unseen guide, leading me towards something greater than I could have imagined. His actions had subtly illuminated a truth, not just about the world around me, but about myself and my own understanding. The answers didn't always come in the ways I expected, but when they did, they were far more profound than I could have imagined. It was as if fate had guided me to this realization. And even though Max's peculiar behavior had initially left me frustrated, in the end it led me to something truly life-changing. If you enjoy the in-depth explorations and intriguing content on the Infidelityism channel, don't forget to subscribe. Here, we dive deep into the complexities of human emotions, relationships, and the mysterious aspects of life that often go unnoticed. From unraveling hidden messages in everyday moments to exploring the intricate dynamics of trust, betrayal, and connection, this channel offers thought-provoking content you won't want to miss. Stay tuned. For more captivating discussions and insights, make sure to subscribe, like our videos, and join our growing community as we continue to explore these fascinating topics together.